Casey Anthony, hours away now from freedom after nearly 3 years behind bars. She's expected to be released sometime tomorrow, potentially under the cover of darkness. Nobody really knows. But considering the outrage in some quarters over the not guilty verdict that's setting her free, will police be forced to provide protection at taxpayer expense? Joining us now to talk about it, defense attorney, former prosecutor Robert Schalk, Fox News legal analyst Mercedes Coleman. Good to see you both. Robert, absent a specific and credible threat that police are aware of, do they have a legal obligation to provide protection at taxpayer expense for Casey Anthony?
Absolutely not. Casey Anthony should be afforded the same protections as anyone should when she's a free person, when she's released from jail, but under no circumstances should she get free protection from the police department, almost a SWAT team force. If she wants that kind of protection, she can sell her story and hire her own protection.
Yeah,
but under no
Mercedes,
circumstances.
the defense team is saying they're getting all kinds of threats, including death threats, continuously every day. If something happens to her, would law enforcement be vicariously responsible and liable?
That's a great point, but no. I mean, I do agree with you, Robert, but there's a big case that talked exactly about this, that if the authorities do get involved somehow, someone calls, 911 call, even if it's not Casey Anthony, but someone else's calls, and they start going towards whatever the emergency is, then liability attaches. But having some proactive duty to her, none whatsoever. She will, though, if she's smart. She's absolutely going to get her own security.
Oh, she doesn't have any money for it,
well,
though.
I'm sure there are folks out there that'll reach out to her and say, just so that they can say that they're part of Casey Anthony.
Speaking of money, Robert, apparently one or more of the jurors that served in this case are asking for money in exchange for interviews and all kinds of things. That has prompted a Florida lawmaker to propose a bill that would make it illegal for jurors serving in a case for a period of 270 days to profit from their service financially. Is that a violation of the First Amendment free speech right of jurors? After all, the Supreme Court has said free speech for profit is covered by the First Amendment.
It's an egregious violation of the First Amendment. The lawmaker who proposed this probably didn't read the First Amendment, because if he did, he would realize that this is something that you cannot do. You cannot pick and choose who can profit. Why can Casey Anthony and Jose Baez profit?
Right.
And the people who are selected as jurors, the people who are upholding the Constitution, their civic duty to sit on a jury, be forced to wait this time?
I can't tell you how much I disagree, because imagine all these jurors saying, wow, I've got on the Casey Anthony jury, that's great, that's fantastic, I'm going to pay, even though I can't be fair and impartial and I can't make a decision, I'm going to do it just so that I can profit. That is one of the biggest dangers that any defense attorney has.
She may have a very good point. What if a juror on a particular case, and there were a lot of people that thought this went on in the O.J. Simpson case, what if a juror says, you know what, if I reach a particular verdict in a particular way, it's more saleable for a book, I'll make more money. Doesn't the right under the federal Constitution of the accused to a fair trial trump the First Amendment for jurors?
That's why we have very competent, good lawyers in this legal system to weed out the bad seeds. But that's also taking under...
They harbor secrets sometimes.
You are both assuming that one person is going to sway 11 other people.
And they could.
It's possible. It's possible.
It's absolutely
You could
possible.
hang a jury, but to convince 11 people...
What about the 3 jurors who collaborated on a book immediately following the O.J. Simpson not guilty verdict, Robert? May have been more than one.
Valid point, but we don't have that here yet. Until I see people collaborating here, it's very rare.
If they can profit from it, then you're going to have some impartiality, or someone's going to actually say something that they really, truly don't mean.
How many jurors do you read about actually making legitimate money, other than the one
Well, it's hard to prove.
It's hard to prove, though.
Meter reader Roy Kronk is allegedly, who discovered the body of little Kaylee Anthony, is allegedly the latest to threaten a defamation lawsuit. He's threatening to sue the bounty hunter Leonard Padilla on a claim of defamation. Defamation, very quickly, is a false statement that damages somebody's good name. That would assume, of course, that Roy Kronk, Robert, has a good name to be damaged.
His name has been dragged through the mud at his own cause throughout the course of the trial. However, I was reading parts of the claim that Mr. Kronk's attorneys filed, and he has a leg to stand on here. The bounty hunter in this case has, over the course of 3 years, accused him of killing Kaylee Anthony, being in cahoots with the Anthony family to cover up the murder, and then being a plant for the police department. They told him where the body was, so he would get the reward money. If he can prove that one of those is false, or two of those is false, then he has to prove damages. The problem is going to be, what are the damages?
Good luck with that jury. I mean, please, Mr. Creepo is going to make money out of this? I don't think so.
Careful. I don't want you to get sued for defamation. Zanny the Nanny defamation lawsuit. I think this is the real and serious legitimate one. You know, Casey Anthony falsely claimed that this Zenaida Gonzalez had kidnapped her daughter, and it turned out to be a complete and utter lie by Casey Anthony. If she gets a judgment against Casey Anthony, is it going to be just like the O.J. Simpson case? Fred Goldman hounded O.J. Simpson for years with a multi-million-dollar judgment.
I think so, absolutely. You said it yourself. Casey Anthony doesn't have anything right now. I mean, even if she profits, we know that there's an outstanding motion by the prosecutor saying if you, Casey Anthony, get any sort of funds as a result of the death of your child, we want the $1 million plus that it took to investigate and prosecute you. And you know, frankly, I'm sure that some judge out there is going to actually sign it. But she has 20 years to pay back that judgment, and I'm sure it'll take about 20 years. And Zanny the Nanny does have a really good claim.
What do you think, Robert?
I 100% agree. She will, if she makes any money on this, the hope is that she doesn't see any of it.
All right. Robert Schalk, Mercedes Colin, good to see you both. Thanks.
Thank you.
Heather?